Hey everyone, welcome to part 9 of the Protopie Crash Course. It's been a while since I made a video because I did this as an experiment, but I've been seeing quite a bit of views and some nice comments from you as well, so thanks a lot for that. So here's a video requested in one of the comments that I'm making exclusively around variables. So the source files as usual are available in the description, so feel free to check out designerx.io to get a classroom experience of this course. So without any more talk, let's get started. So in this video, what we will do is learn about the basics of variables, what they are, how to use them, and in the end, we will build this prototype that you're seeing. So what this basically does is it has 3 items on the menu that you can increase or decrease, and then like once you add how many other items that you want on your cart or your tray, whatever, you go hit on next and then it would populate the total for you. So as you see here, let me refresh, the total comes from the sum of each value and the number of items that you add to it. So we'll also create this button interaction, and also the total over here is say 12, 24, 36. So now after that, now if you say you add another 24, that's like 60, right? So and the sum would reflect accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new Protopie file. Just give me a second. So now that I have my file open, I wanted to talk about what variables are. There's a simple way to think about it, that variables are similar to storage boxes. So in the sense, they store values and those values can change. So to access a variable in Protopie, you basically have it on the bottom left corner where I show you. So you can go to variables and you can create a variable. Let's say you have 2 options. You have the all screens or this screen. So basically the difference between the two is the scoping, which means that if you select all screens, what it means is this variable will be available for any number of scenes that you create. So if I go to command 1 and then create as many scenes as I want, the variable that I create here will be available in all of those scenes. So whatever value you change inside the variable will change wherever you access it from. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable. So I will select all scenes, and as you notice here, the variable is called variable 1. So this variable called variable 1, you can change it to whichever you like. You might want to call it say user choice, or you might want to call it say drop down state, depending on what you're building. So to change it, just double tap it and you just type whatever you want. And each variable has only one value in it. So the value stored in this variable is basically 0. But you're free to change the default value, which means this is the value which will be the default case unless you change it through an assign action. I'm going to touch on assign in just a bit, but let's say you want to make it 5, you're allowed to make it. You want to make it 5,000 or 5 million or 500 million, suit yourself. So now you can also take a text value, which is basically a string, whatever string that you want to add. So if you want to say drop down state is filled, you can just store filled as a text, or you can say it's empty, and you can have that text over there, and you can refer to this state of the variable to perform logical functions. So we'll do that in the prototype, but yeah, the next thing is you can also store a color. So you can pick any color that you would like, and you can change the color as you interact with your prototype. So for this example, let me rename this to user choice, and I will make it a number of the default value 0. So to change this value, all I need to do is add a trigger, and I need to start, I need to attach a trigger to this page. So I can do it in any way. I'm going to use start because it triggers on the start of this page. And when I start this page, what I want to do is to assign the value stored in user choice to, I can call it I can give any number I want. So I want to call it 15. So, and that's it. So once the page starts, it assigns the value 15. So if you click here, you will still see 0. So don't expect to see 15 here. However, if you want to see the final value on what is in this variable after making modifications, all you need to do is hit this bug icon next to the variable, and when this is on, you can see it light up. When it's on, you can see it on the top over here. Here you can't see. Let me change the device. Let me toggle the device frame off. Yes. So you can see the variable value stored here. And let's say you want to assign, after this, you want to assign, say, 500. The latest one will take precedence over the previous one, and the value will be 500, right? So you can also perform functions. Say you can say 15 plus 25, and it should automatically total up the sum and store that value in that variable. Or you can make more advanced formula. Say, for example, let's create a variable called choice1, and we will create another variable called choice2. So now I want to store say 25 in choice1 and 15 in choice2. So to get the sum of choice1 and choice2 into user choice, what I can do is just simply go assign, go to user choice, let's make sure user choice is selected, go to function, and then instead of explicitly typing 15 and 25, you can hit the tilde icon that will basically present all the layers that you have on the artboard. So in this case, we don't need layers, we need variables. So if you want variables, you just start typing the name of the variable. In this case, I want to type choice1, and as you type, you notice that the options are presented right below. So I'm going to choose choice1 and add a plus. You can put any operator, even divide or plus, minus. Feel free to write your own logic, and you can do choice2. So basically, it will take the value stored in choice1 as a default value that is stored, and then I sum it up with the default value stored in choice2 and assign it to user choice3. So now once you do that, you can toggle back and see the total is now 40, and now this total has come from the sum of these two variables. So I hope that was clear. So with that knowledge, what we will do is try and build the prototype that I just showed in the beginning. So let's quickly jump into our sketch file and see how we have organized our file. So if you look at it closely, we have two artboards, which is the drag and drop and the result. And in the drag and drop, we have, which is this toggle violet, toggle pink, and toggle yellow, to just keep it simple. And within this, you have a place for it to move. And then you have your knob itself, which is another layer. And similarly, you have the same layers with different colors. And you have different values next to it. I haven't grouped them along with this for the sketch file. And in the last page, it's a simple, everything is layers, nothing new here. So now with this sketch file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this away. In my new Protopie file, I'm going to see the artboard size is 360, 760. I'm going to make sure my artboard is also 360 cross 760, and then I will make it 2x density, and I will call it Android. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. 360, 760. Now let's import this file. All you need to do is hit Command I on the keyboard. That will open this sketch import menu, and I will select the layer, drag and drop. So just make sure your sketch file is open parallelly on the side so that the window will detect that particular sketch file. Select 2x as the size because that's what we defined in the canvas resolution. And now what I do is just import. And once I import, as you see, everything will fit in neatly and perfectly. And now we are ready to make the interactions. So to make this button interaction, first what I'm going to do is let me delete this. We don't need this. We don't need any of these either as of now. I'm going to select my knob toggle violet, which is the circular layer, and I'm going to add a trigger, and the trigger is going to be drag. So I want it to be draggable. So if I go back here, I try to drag, nothing will happen because when you drag is the event triggered, but you need some action when you trigger that event, right? So you need to move when you drag. So which direction do I want to move? I want to move up and down. So yeah, this is exactly what I want. And I want to also limit to the distance of its parent, which is about, say, this is about 92, but yeah, so I think it's more or less 16 up and down. So let's say custom limit. Oh, okay, we have a min y. So how we can find this is go select this, go to the top, and you can see the min y, the y position is -4, and the top y position is 36. So it needs to go between -4 and 36. So I'm going to go here, say -4, max y is 36, and as simple as that, we have it moving. But it's not the expected functionality yet, because as soon as you leave it, it needs to come back to its initial position like a spring. To make it work like a spring, the logic is pretty simple, right? So you don't have anything like a drag end interaction. If you're coming from FrameRx, maybe you're more familiar with drag end. In Protopie, what you have to do is select a trigger called touch up, the one that you see here. So touch up will basically detect when you, this is touch down and this is touch up, when you basically leave your mouse, right? So when you touch up, which layer do you want to touch up? I want to touch up that knob violet, knob toggle violet. When I touch up, what I want it to do is just move it back to its initial position, which is 16, right? So I will touch up and I will move it to 16. That's basically it. And now, as you see here, anytime you drop, wherever you drag it, it is going to return back to its initial position without a lot of logic. So to make this interaction work, what we will do is first start by creating a variable, and we will create it for all scenes because we need it in the second page, as you noticed. And in this, for this variable, we will call it total count. So this total count will calculate the total value that needs to be displayed in the second screen, right? So we haven't imported it yet. We will do it just in just a bit. So it carries not 12, not 0, but 12 into, say, 3 if this were 3. So it will carry the total value, not just for this and some of all 3 as well. So but for this tutorial alone, we're going to do for just this, and I'm going to leave the source file for the fully complete version, and it will be a small exercise that you can take back and try it by yourself. So now the question is, how do you detect if you dragged it up or you dragged it down? So to do this, the logic is fairly simple. You go here and you select condition, because as you touch up, which means you release your drag, that's the trigger. And once on that trigger, you already moved, but you can chain more actions. And I'm going to chain an action called a condition. And I'm going to say, hey, like the knob value is y if it's greater than, so this is right now at, say, this is 16, right? So greater than 16 would be moving down, right? So if it's greater than 16, then you can go ahead and assign the value of total count to be, what do we have to add? So we basically have to add whatever value already exists plus $12 to this, right? So I'm going to go to tap on effects, and I will type total count, and then I will add 12 to it. Oh no, it has to be -12, because when you go down, it means decreasing, and when you go up, it means increasing, right? So we want to subtract 12. So let's see if this is working. So hit the bug icon, then you see the total count. When I try to drag it down, okay, it's not happening. Oh wait, what's wrong? So total count -12. The knob toggle violet y is greater than 16, right? So yeah, this works. Similarly, you can make it copy paste. So just going to make it less than 16, which is going up. If it has to go up, then you need to add 12 to the total. That's it. Just click outside and you can see it go -12, and then if you drag it up, it goes +12. So the next thing we'll try to fix is basically that the total cannot go in minus, right? So it needs to be 0 when it's 0. So there are a few ways you might just think of approaching it on the first look, which is basically that you might want to chain another condition right here to say, hey, like if it is, if the sum of, like you might say that if the total count is less than 16, then less than 0, then try to do this. But then you will not be able to take, you will not be able to perform your formula if you have it as a separate condition, or you will have to, how do you say, you can, you don't have a chaining of condition inside another condition, right? So that feature is not on Protopie. So there is a way around this. What you would do is instead use detect, and you detect the value of total count. And if you, once you detect the value of total count, what this means is it will trigger every time the value of total count changes. And when it changes, here you use a condition so that you separate this logic from everything else and you keep it clean. And you say that, hey, if my total count value is less than 0, what I'm going to do is assign it back to 0. Where is assign? Yeah, I'm going to go assign it back to 0. Now select my variable total count, and that's it. So it will never go below 0, but it will always go above. So in Protopie, let's to change this text value, first you need to convert it to text, because if you need to update its value, you need to convert it. And once you've done it, we will update that. But before that, again, to keep things uniform, what we will do is first store variable, first create a variable called for this scene alone, and this variable we will call it violet count. So what violet count will store is basically the count of what should be displayed over here. If you followed what we did above, the process should be fairly simple. So if you can guess how to do this, feel free to pause this video, do it by yourself, and just skip to just after that part. In any case, I'm going to proceed. So what we can do is reuse our condition that we used here for the movement of the toggle. And I'm going to add another assignment and add this assignment to our violet count. And instead of saying violet count plus, total count plus minus 12, we're going to say violet count minus 1. That's it. And then copy it, go and paste inside this condition, and then just type violet count plus 1. So let's debug this and see what happens. So I'm going to go up, it goes increments by 1, and I'm going to go down, it goes decreases by 1, right? And we have the same problem here as well, which goes below 0. The solution is similar, copy paste, and instead of total count, we will detect violet count, and we will check if violet count is less than 0. In such a case, what we will do is just give violet count a value of 0. Now let's go check if this works. It should work properly. This goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and if we debug the total count, okay, command tilde, and the total count works perfectly as well. So to increment this text, the solution is fairly simple. Now that I've converted this to a text, I'll also make it center line. So when it goes beyond 10, it's not going to go left line. And after that, what I'm going to do is go use the same detect of violet count. And what we are going to do is go detect, once it's detected, I'm going to select on text, and I'm going to select this text, I'm going to select formula, and in the formula, I'm going to go say, just replace it with violet count value, because that's the exact value that we want to display. And that's it. So let's go to the preview, and if you increase, it increases. If you decrease, it decreases. So as soon as the detect changes, when it's less than 0, it assigns it to 0, and once the assignment happens, it again detects this change that is created by the condition, and after that the text value changes, and the text value basically updates this with 0 that this created, and after that what it does is after changing the text, the condition at this cycle remains unmet, so it doesn't go back into the same cycle and it stops there. And all of this happens in a split second or like microseconds that you just don't see it. You cannot see change. So, but it actually goes to -1, detects, makes the change, and then detects that change and then replaces it again with 0. So, but all of this is happening on the background that you just don't see. So now that we have implemented both, let's go ahead, import the second scene. So I'm going to go to the second scene, remove this debugger, and let me import my result. So I'm going to import, and once I've imported it, I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to go back to the scene 1. Oh, this is new in Protopie if you've watched my other videos from the previous version. So you can just jump between the screens quickly through this menu. It's pretty simple and useful. So all I need to do is, on this page, the logic is fairly simple. What you need to do is, once you start, every time I start, I'm going to go and assign the, no, sorry, not assign. I'm going to go tap on text, and I'm going to change the text value, that is 1 or 3, and then I'm going to replace it to formula, and the formula that I want to replace it with is total count. And here's where what I initially told you about the difference between all scenes and these screens makes sense. So I'm going to go back here. So let me quickly create this button functionality. I'm going to tap on the button, hit T to create tap, and I will jump to the next screen, and I will select scene 2, and I'll have a slide-in interaction like this. It's going to go right to left. So let me do this. See, the value quickly refreshed after it jumped to the next screen. So if you don't want this glitch, I'm going to hit Command 1 to open my scenes menu. Go here and make sure it starts with jump so that you don't see that glitch. So I'm going to hit Command 1 again, or you can navigate through here. And then when you jump here, the value is 0. So you just don't see the value change, right? It's instant. So to carry forward the total value, you've already defined the logic. So I'm going to hit 12 4s are 48. The total is already in total count as 48, and when I go next, the total sum is 48. As simple as that. So I've shown you how to implement this. Now it's time for you to take back a small exercise for yourself to go try it out, to see how to implement this on your own. Except what you can do is try and implement something new. This is going to be a little challenging for you if you're going to use components, because you might have to wrap your head around a few things. So I will attach the source file for this final Protopie into the description. Feel free to download, go through it, see how I've defined the components for each of this to carry forward the same functionality. But I encourage you to go ahead and try it out and see how it works. So thanks for watching. As always, I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to post on the comments, and I will try to respond as soon as I can.